Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and I am here with this band-endorsed, fan-based podcast covering all of the songs that Uriah Heep recorded in the studio, unless I don't know about it or can't get my hands on a copy. But in any case, I got a ton for you guys, going over the first 24 albums first, then picking up any additional songs that I haven't already gone over. But I'm sure that by the time I get a little closer to that mark, Uriah Heep will have already recorded their next album. Obviously, COVID has held things up, so I have no dates or expectations at this point, except that I'm sure there will be one coming forth. And I am very excited because Living the Dream was fantastic, their last album, and I can't wait to see what they do next. I can only imagine that bands right now are just really pent up with all kinds of creative and performing energy. And I think we're going to see some really great stuff coming out. I think things are just going to explode in the industry with an amazing amount of material, but also an amazing amount of quality material because people have been able to write and do things without the distractions of touring, but also without the benefit of it. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I know the Dead Daisies are already out hitting it pretty hard on the road. And really cool time. So as things start to open up, I think a lot of this energy that's been, just contained inside people is just going to burst forth. And I'm looking forward to it. But we're here to talk about today's song, which is called Hot Night in a Cold Town. This is a cover song. It was originally written by Jeff Cushing Murray and Richard Littlefield. And the cover version originally was recorded by John Cougar Mellencamp. And that was for his album, Nothing Else Matters and What If It Did? That's fair. I see where you're going with that. So let's just dig right into the song. Here it is off of the album Abominog. That is just a beautiful piano intro. It's very intriguing, very powerful, especially those last couple of chords that were played. I love the string just hanging there in the air and you can almost grasp it, but not quite. It's like it's just out of reach, but it just has such a beautiful sound to it and really enhances it. It adds a little bit of mystery, a little bit of maybe melancholy to it. We don't really know yet because we don't fully know the emotional content of the song. And the piano's kind of not giving it away. It could be romantic. It could be sad. We're not really sure. So let's see where it goes.
Sun is out strolling, ambling slowly, washed in amber, street lights. A Mexican wind blows in, taking a hold of Angelina's hair and her halo. Moon is running, muffling the sound of the streets hawk. Happy jewels going down.
Well, let's start with the first part of that. So it's really nice to hear Peter Goalby sound when he lays back a little bit. He's still got an edge to it, though. It's still not, real gentle, fully quiet, that sort of thing. But it does have an element of emotion to it, which I really like. But I feel like, and this is not their fault, because remember, this is a cover song, but I kind of feel like they're just rushing to get those words into that measure before the next measure or the next couple measures. Some of it just feels like it's really out of timing as far as the vocal line goes. But the sound of it is pretty cool. And then when the band kicks in, the vocals seem to get buried a little bit under all of that music. The piano is already competing, and now you've got all the other music coming in. It's a nice transition, though. I like the way the band enters the song, but I do think that the mix is such where the vocals are just a little bit overpowered. Well, the drums sound fantastic, nice and strong. Bob Daisley on bass is serving up some great, great notes. And it feels like it's got a really good movement to it. The song does. I like the piano. That kind of just repetitive staccato chord drives me nuts after a while, but that's just me. This was not uncommon. Another version of that would be maybe a lesser version of it because they did change a little more, would be Hold the Line by Toto. That was a good song, but there was a lot of that same kind of just piano stuff in it, as I recall. And this is off the top of my head. I probably haven't heard that song in 10 years. But it's got a nice sound to it, though. The band sounds really good and full. They sound very much together. I really like the way that the chorus of this version of the band sounds, the way that their voices come together. I think there's some real good magic there. It's nice to hear Lee back in that mix. But now, of course, we've got completely different singers than what we're used to, so the sound is going to change. But I think it's good. I think it sounds really powerful. I think it sounds very controlled and refined. And the song's going in a good direction, so let's see where it goes.
Johnny's got a spare change in his pocket, a ring and a watch to hock for a sweet ride. A one-way ticket, and in his shoe, his last few hours, he says he'll spend them with you. He's leaving home without a trace, no forwarding address, he'll never have the face another.
You can hear the bass come through a little bit more in that section, which is really nice. But I like the sound of the bass, not just what he's playing, but the actual tonal properties of it. I think it sounds really good. It's not overdriven. It's not hard edged. It just has a real good feel to it. And for this kind of music, I think it works better. Let the guitars carry the distortion and the heaviness. Let the bass just be there, taking care of the bottom end, keeping that rhythm along with the drums. I think it's very, very well written and very well performed.
At night, in a cold town, get yourself at night, in a cold town. Well, the losers and the groovers and the corner boys all hang around, running in and out of doorways, up and down the stairways, straight out, headed for the pound and another.
That's a pretty cool part. I like that. I like the change in the drums where it's almost like a march. And I love that the synth is doubling the piano there. That sounds really good. And it's not overbearing. A lot of times, especially then, because they were really just learning how to mix this heavy synthesizer music at the time. A lot of times they just put in these frequencies in the synthesizers that just kind of rip through your ear. And I think this is the kind of synth where you could easily do that with if you don't EQ it right. But it sounds really good here. It's not overbearing, doesn't dominate the track. It's still enough where you can hear what it's doing, but you can also hear the strike of the piano under it. So very well balanced. Overall, the song just sounds good.
At night, it's just in a cold night. Get yourself at night, it's just in a cold.
That was kind of a weird transition, but okay. It just kind of felt like the backing singers were cut off again, but I don't think they were. I think they just stopped there. But it was a slightly awkward transition for me, but not anything that ruins the song by any means.
Cold.
Yeah, what a blistering guitar solo. And again, the tonal properties of the guitar are just fantastic for me on this. Everything's clear. Even when he's playing faster, you can hear everything that he's doing. And, well, I guess if I couldn't hear something he was doing, I guess I wouldn't know, would I? But I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that I covered everything he did because all of a sudden there would just be a blank space. So, but no, it sounds fantastic. And I like the way that it just, it keeps the beat. It just goes right back into the chorus again from here because it really just kind of feels like this is a very descriptive song in terms of music. I don't know. It just feels like the right thing. Instead of going into another verse or an alternate part coming out of the solo, I think going into the chorus just really feels right on this one. Okay, that was really good. I love that. I love that Mick came back in with another solo-esque part here as the chorus continues. Wish it was just a little bit louder because here we're kind of fighting a lot of volumes, but or I should say not just louder. I should also say maybe panned differently so that the guitar was taking up its own kind of space and it would cut through a little bit differently. But in either case, really like that, especially the end of that, just that repetitive, high to low bit there was really good. And very cool. I'm really glad they did that.
Such a cold
Wow, there are so many things I love about that ending. First of all, I like that it kind of felt like it slowed down a little bit. Just those, few chords on the piano here and there instead of playing the full riff. I love that little guitar effect that came in. But I really love the I don't know if it's a wind pad or a wind patch on one of the synthesizers, or if that's like a wind machine or something that they did with a reel-to-reel tape where they slowed it down. But I love the sound of that. It really kind of makes you feel like the hot night is over and now you're just in this cold town. I just kind of imagine, a street with maybe like an industrial area and there's some outside lights or like an outside bright light on a back door, like a loading dock door or something. I know I'm getting really out of it with this, but, and just like the wind blowing, you're trying to keep your hat on and you're just walking down the street trying to get back to your little $20 a night motel. And you just feel all of a sudden like, okay, the energy and the excitement of the night is over. And now you're just left with the cold town part. So get to where you're going, get to your shelter and, go to bed or whatever you're going to do. It definitely just is like, hey, this is really exciting. This is really exciting. And we're done. And then you're just left with that, emptiness and cold wind. In fact, that's part of what I liked about the piano being played the way it was, since it wasn't playing like a full riff. It left a lot of open spaces, which again, gave that kind of, it's over, the party's done, just get home, you're by yourself now kind of feel to it. So very, very well done. I think that's one of the best endings as far as the performances go. Now, I've never heard John Cougar Mellencamp's version of this song or any other version of this song, if there are any. But what I can say is I know how Heep heapifies things or should I say makes them Heep-esque. In any case, what they do to make it fit their own sound is always stunning. And I'll have to go and see how the original one ended, because this to me is just absolutely perfect. It really creates that party's over mystery feeling, alone element. And I think it's fantastic. So that's it for this one, guys. We have made it through another one, and I think this is a good song. I really do. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it and you guys enjoyed my thoughts on it. We'll be back on the next episode with another song for the next episode. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!